Hey, are you African American over the age of 40 who's living with type 2 diabetes? Well, if you are, today I'm going to help you overcome one of the number one frustrations, and that's limited access to affordable and quality health care. Okay, as I dive in, now I'm going to address your desire to access this quality health care and diabetes management resources. But I'm also going to help you handle one of the number one fears, which is the financial strain that comes from medical expenses. Okay, so there's three major obstacles that limit access to quality health care. The number one obstacle has been the longest running and largest obstacle for African Americans, especially those over 40 who's dealing with chronic conditions. I'm not quite sure that we dealt with this issue properly. I know we've thrown money at it. We've also sat back and seen what other folks are going to do to help remove this obstacle. But I'm going to approach it from a different angle. And that obstacle is systemic racism and discrimination. Now, African Americans have historically faced discrimination leading up to disparities in quality health care. And these disparities include access to quality health facilities and health insurance coverages, as well as implicit biases from healthcare providers. We all know that systemic racism also affects socioeconomic factors such as income and education, which further hinders access to affordable health care. So how do we approach that? It's because we know that it's a thing, and it's there. And just sitting back and just ignoring it is not going to fix it. Playing the victim is not going to fix it. And and more importantly, when you go to the hospital, you don't care about whether or not it's racism or discrimination or disparities. You don't even care where it's coming from or why it's coming from there. All you care about is, how do I get better? So that's what I'm going to. That's my approach. How do I get better? We know it's a thing. How do I get better? So that being said, we're going to start with understanding that this thing is here, it's not going anywhere, and nobody gonna come rescue me. So how do I save myself in this situation? And the first thing will be, you have to come prepared to advocate for yourself. So think of it like this. Two people walk into the medical examiner's office or the doctor's office. It's going to be you, the patient, and you, the advocate, kind of like the diabetes attorney. Okay? So you're going to come prepared to advocate for yourself. Now, the way you're going to do that is by asking some special, important, triggering questions, okay? And they're going to trigger something within you, which is going to be a different mindset that's going to put you in a different place of authority, and it's going to trigger different responses in the medical provider. So when they tell you about your type 2 diabetes, one thing they always mention to you is, oh, well, your A1C is high. They might give you a number saying it's above 7. We want to lower it, whatever. Here, take this medication, and we'll check with you, in a month or so. And they try to get to the next patient. So one thing that you can ask them in that situation is, please explain to me what A1C is, and why that's important to me, and how I improve that. Now he or she has to slow down, and they have to address that question. because now you're triggering them a change from doctor that's busy with a bunch of patients to subject matter expert. And most smart people like talking about the thing that makes them smart. And and many times when you do this, you will see a change in their behavior, a change in their attitude, because now you're not just accepting what they're saying and rushing you out the office. You're making them explain to you what's going on, and they will tell you everything they can about A1C when you ask them. And the cool thing is, what you're also triggering in them is this mindset of expert and leader. And now they're leading in a way of serving the person they're responsible for, which is you, the patient. And which is also taking them subconsciously out of this implicit bias and this mindset of just rush you out there, you'll be fine, you're not going to understand what we're talking about, and just send you out the office. So now there's one way of changing the narrative, because one of the biggest complaints is they didn't explain it to me, they just gave me medication, it should be on my way. Another question that you can ask them about, which they like to tell you that it's the exact same thing, it was very similar, but when you ask about your average blood glucose level, they say, well, that's what A1C is. A1C, I'll address that in another video, but explain what exactly A1C is. But this time I'm talking about the blood glucose levels as far as mils per deciliter. So one of the questions you can ask them is, what is my blood glucose levels? What are what are the levels? And they'll give you the number, which if it's, you're approaching like between 90 and 100, they'll say you're pre-diabetic. Once you get over 200, they're gonna say, okay, you type 2 diabetic. But you wanna know what your numbers are for the blood glucose levels, and tell me what are the numbers for the blood glucose mils per deciliter and the A1C of a young, healthy athlete. Then they're gonna look at you like you're crazy and say like, well, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. But what you want to know is, where am I and how does that compare to the best case scenario as far as health? Because you gotta think about it. You're not just going there just to get information. Your goal is to improve it. And you want to get as close to those numbers associated with young, healthy athlete. I don't care if you're 70. You want to come as close to that number as possible. And they'll tell you. The next thing that you can ask them, which is further forcing them to spend more time, because that's another complaint with the disparities in health, is the amount of time they spend with African Americans, is you ask them another question. And this one right here, I use this question at the hospital, I've used it at the gun range. Don't just sell me anything. Here we go. So I don't want to get ahead of myself. I'm gonna tell you the question, because I use this in very important places. Tell them, say, Doc, please look me in my eye and talk to me like you talking to your favorite aunt, your only child, your firstborn child, your mother, your cousin, your best friend. Talk to me like I'm one of them, and that no matter what you say to me, I'm going to immediately jump and do it. So now that I got your attention, I want you to talk to me like you would talk to that person, and tell me exactly what I need to do to reverse this. Now you really got the attention, because they're gonna go straight to it. It's more than just a script now. Here, take this to pharmacy and take this every day, and then come back in a month. No. Now they're gonna, because it's right at the top of their head. They know exactly what they'll tell their favorite person on this planet. And in doing so, asking these questions, you extended the time that they're talking to you and explaining these things to you, which is one of the complaints. You're getting more information about what your condition is, which is another complaint, and as well when it comes to disparities. And you're getting a more relaxed, informative block of instructions on how to manage it when you're out of this site, outside of just taking the medication. And that's another big complaint / disparity. So when you do these things, you're directly right there in the spot dealing with this disparity. Okay? So try those questions. You can say them exactly the way I said it, or you can change it up. You know where it'll be more appropriate to the situation, because it might be you, the patient. You may be going in as a caregiver with a family member, friend, or loved one, because some people go in with like parents, grandparents, and they help to be there to either get the information for their medication or to advocate for them. So try these out, and I promise you, you're going to notice a difference in the response that you're getting in your next visit. Okay, so the next one I want to address, and we're going to deal with this, is the fact that African American communities often have fewer healthcare facilities, medical professionals, and resources compared to predominantly white neighborhoods. No one's arguing that. So how do we deal with this obstacle of limited healthcare infrastructure? Because that has contributed to a decrease in access to preventative services, screenings, as well as chronic condition management. And then transportation barriers and a lack of public health outreach have also exacerbated the issue. So one way we can deal with it is, well, let me say this on this subject matter. I was born in Roseland Hospital, in the Roseland neighborhood of Southside Chicago, back in 1975. And when I was young, I always thought it was a great hospital. But then when I got older, I heard about Rush, University of Chicago, and Northwestern. And when I walked in these places, I was like, oh, okay. Rush is all brand new construction compared to Roseland Hospital that is the exact same. I was just over there the other day. University of Chicago, when you walk into the lobby, you know you're not in Roseland or Harvey anymore, right? And we're not going to talk about Northwestern, which is like a luxury skyscraper almost. It's like a skyscraper with luxury apartments in there, and shopping and fine dining and shopping. It looks like that. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I get it. So one of the strategies that I'm going to talk about is something that you say, well, okay, we do that, in Chicago, and this particular strategy also helps with the the third obstacle, but which I'm gonna get to, and I don't want to get ahead of myself. I'm gonna get to it in a second. That strategy is supporting community health centers. So just when you think of some of these community health centers, you drive past some and you think, oh, well, that's just a little clinic. But many of them have not just treatments for chronic conditions, but they also provide classes, trainings, you can get screenings, and many times you will have, from some of these larger hospitals, they'll have physicians and researchers come out and they'll do talks. And they'll do talks on chronic conditions. Because it's pre-planned and it's on a weekend or whatever, it's usually more relaxed setting and it's not rushed. You know it's gonna be an hour or 2 hours, and you can do Q&A sessions. I participate in quite a few of these. So a lot of my buddies who are physicians, they're all over Chicago. They're constantly doing this. Some of them doing this weekly, where they're in these larger hospitals like the ones I named, but they're going into the community and they're giving classes, trainings, talks, and they'll take their time and they can explain a lot of things about your condition to you. And many times these are at these local community health centers. So that's one way that's one thing that we have, that even though it might not be at the large university, it's in your neighborhood, and a lot of them are starting to take it upon themselves to either send out a team, or where they might send like 5 or 6 from one hospital. It might be individuals, but they have on their posts a lot of times saying, hey, look, on next week Saturday or 3 weeks from now on a Thursday or whatever, we're going to have this particular, we have these physicians, these researchers, and they're going to talk about this particular chronic condition and management, or when they're always doing some type of screening. So this is one strategy that I know we have in our community that may be underutilized. So I think that's one way that we can address not having the huge, pretty, beautiful hospitals, but you have these small community centers that provide the services. So we want to take advantage of those. Now, okay, so I'm going to address the third largest obstacle to access to affordable healthcare and quality healthcare. And we know economic disparities have always played a significant role in limiting access to healthcare for African Americans. Many of them are more likely to be either uninsured or underinsured due to lower median household incomes and higher rates of unemployment. So because of that, African Americans are more likely to be to struggle with healthcare, health insurance, co-pays, and other out-of-pocket expenses associated with like medical services visits, as well as their medications. So I'm gonna give you some practical ways to get around the finances, because that's one of the biggest fears when it comes to African Americans with medical costs, like the financial strain that's associated with it. So here are some practical things that you can do. First of all, chronic conditions are lifestyle conditions. Research is clear. It's lifestyle. I know some of you may argue with me, well, because you have some of these outliers, person that's obese but have no chronic conditions. And you have the person that's just the opposite. They're 110 pounds and they got 2 or 3 chronic conditions, right? But for for the overwhelming majority, it's a lifestyle. Uh, it's a lifestyle-induced condition, because that's one of the things that really run in your family. Not so much as the chronic condition, but the habits. You eat the way mom and them ate. Your activity level is like your mom. So like many people have the same activity level as their parents. You know, mom didn't work out, daddy didn't work out, or they did these things when they were younger, but then they stopped. But they still eat the same way, or eat too much junk food or high calorie foods. It's high in both sugar and fats, which is very inflammatory. And you pick up these same habits. And I use myself as an example. I used to watch my parents, and I was like, what the heck is going on? It'd be at night, they trying to hairbrush us to bed, and they go to the bedroom for a pint of ice cream. My mom would have her vanilla ice cream, and my dad would have either vanilla or black walnut, because they both like vanilla, black walnut, right? And I wanted to know what was so special about this ice cream. It'd be one pint, and they go in a room, in the bedroom, and they would watch their show. I don't remember what the show was, but I remember the ice cream. They go in there and watch their show with the ice cream. And I would always catch my mom walking in last, because she got her ice cream and she got the one for my dad. And I would run Mama, Mama. And she'd be like, boy, get out of here. But she'd give me like that one little spoon. It's like, here, don't you go tell your sisters that I got ice cream. You know? And I'm like, I got my ice cream. I got my little taste of ice cream, but I was wondering, what's so special? And I know when I got it, I was doing the same thing. I get my little pint of ice cream, go in the bedroom, and watch my show. And I'm like, whoa. We can't do that, you know? So that, you know, and then you eat the different foods that they cook, you cook them same foods, you know? So we want to come out of those habits. So we're thinking chronic conditions, you can save your... The US spends $348 billion annually. Let's start there. $348 billion annually just on diabetes, type 2 diabetes. If I was in a diabetes industry, I wouldn't want you healthy either. I say that again. If I only made money in the diabetes industry, I wouldn't want you healthy either. Because you being sick makes lots of money. And all you gotta do is change your lifestyle. So let's talk about some practical ways that you can save money changing your lifestyle. So we talked about the community health centers. Get into some of those classes. And I know this is not all African Americans over 40 are not broke as a joke, you know, busted and disgusted and all that. That's I'm not saying everyone, but let's say for the average person who is struggling, we're gonna start there and work our way up, because the African Americans over the age of 40 who are filthy rich and they still don't take care of, well, I won't say filthy rich because rich is not filthy, who are rich and they still don't take care of their health. But let's just say that you're one who you're struggling, right? So prevent the chronic condition in the first place. But if you haven't prevented it and you developed it, you can start with community centers, getting these classes, get to these fitness classes, but also what you put in your mouth. So, you know, my favorite thing is, you know, exercise, right? But also you have to watch what you put inside your mouth. We have across the United States food deserts in the Black communities, right? And that has been an issue for years. It's still an issue. So now with technology, we can get around the food deserts, okay? Here's how. Instacart, Amazon, DoorDash, and many other grocery stores accept EBT payments online. You know, if you can Instacart or DoorDash or Uber Eats, Harold's, you can do that to a Whole Foods or a Trader Joe's. And you say, well, I get you, they accept EBT, but it costs more. Breaking news, you need to eat less anyway. Okay? You need to eat less anyway. So there you have it, win-win situation. You can, you know, you can buy these higher quality foods and have them brought to your front door. You don't have to leave. You don't have to leave the house. So a lot of people don't know this. Some of you might know this, but a lot of people don't know that this is an option because food deserts is a real reality. Okay, so you can get around the food deserts by using one of these services. Another option, when we get back to my favorite thing, which is exercising for health, is you may have insurance through your job. So let's say you have insurance through your job. Most of these insurance carriers have what's called flexible spending accounts. Some of y'all are already paying for a flexible spending account. But some of you guys think that it's only good for buying eyeglasses for yourself or for the children. You can use that to pay for personal training, massage, yoga, some of these, what they call the stretch, these boutiques that do nothing but stretch. You can pay for these different wellness activities that will improve your health with a flexible spending account that some of you guys are already paying into. If you never heard of a flex spending account or you're not paying into one, I will go to your employer in HR and ask them about flexible spending accounts. For some of y'all that's already paying for them and you just want to double check, do not take my word for it. Go down to HR and say, hey, look, I'm paying for a flexible spending account. Can I use it to pay for personal training? And it may tell you like what your limit is for the year. But let's say you have a $1,500, $2,500, $3,000 limit. 8 to 12 weeks of serious, strenuous personal training can transform your entire life. And I've reversed several chronic conditions in a shorter period of time. But it's always recommended you see it through so that you develop this chronic adaptation to reverse the chronic disease. You know, you have this chronic adaptation. The next thing you know, you have this new norm. And you can do this using a flexible spending account for exercise, as well as using your money, whether it's cash or EBT, to overcome the food deserts. And together, the exercise and nutrition in the lifestyle, or it can be exercise, it can also be stretching, yoga, things like that, which can decrease stress and dramatically improve your life. And that's going to, one, save you money, because if you think it's expensive to take care of your health, wait till you continuously get the bill for neglecting it. But because fears of financial stress and these financial barriers are reality, you can lower your out-of-pocket costs by not having the condition in the first place, or reversing the condition after it's been developed. That save money and bring money back into the house. And again, you want to look into these services that bring food to your house and just try it. Instead of fast food, use one of the grocery stores. And you don't have to have the most expensive organic store in the neighborhood or outside the neighborhood. Find a grocery store that you like and see and just test it out and bring it right to your door. You can cook at home. These things work together will dramatically change your life, and it'll save you money in the long run. So I hope this information today helps somebody. Don't forget to do all the things, like, subscribe, share with someone who you think may need this information. And feel free to comment and ask me anything you want to ask about type 2 diabetes or any other chronic condition, and I'll leave the comments and I'll get back to you. Okay? Please you don't have to be nice, but please be kind when you comment, and I'll communicate back and forth with you. So this is Kerry Coleman, and I'll see you guys soon.